Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. So we got the movie Wuthering Heights, and we went to go see it in IMAX. That's right, in IMAX, but is it any good? We'll talk. Hi, how you doing today? It's just Jess here. Hope you're having a good day. And today, yes, we just saw Wuthering Heights 2026, and we went to go see this in IMAX, but is it worth it in that format? Honestly, yes, but I could not find that this was movie. It was shot or filmed for IMAX like I normally do on this review channel. However, it is optimized and presented in IMAX formats. The screen did feel like it took up the entirety of the aspect ratio for my specific theater. Usually for movies like this, it's filmed 1.85 2.1 aspect ratio is what is filmed, but I guess some cinemas have this thing called standard digital IMAX, which is 1.90 2.1 format, which mine had because it did expand the capabilities of the aspect ratio in terms of the y-axis, and you still get the proprietary sound that provides powerful in-depth audio experience. So still, even though it wasn't shot or filmed for IMAX, it did take up the aspect ratio, and it was awesome to see it in IMAX. I read the book. I'm a little bit hungover. Valentine's Day weekend was crazy. So if I might be a little bit like not here, still like, getting over the swing of things, I went to get martinis, haunted houses, salmon, and I still gotta do the video review, but my head is just not here. But I have to do it now because I don't have time later and it's gonna be way too long. So just bear with me. I'm usually not like this, but I'm a little bit hungover, but we'll definitely talk about it. Wuthering Heights is the first big romance movie to be releasing in theaters just in time for the Valentine's Day holiday season. It's classified as a romance movie, and yes, it is that, but it's way more. It's adult, it's a traumatic narrative, toxic, sexy induced gothic tragic movie. It's a loosely adaptation from the novel Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, which I did read a month ago before seeing the movie in IMAX, and I have the Penguin's Classics. The reason why I say it's a loosely adaptation, basically in a nutshell, Volume 2 is non-existent. Volume 1 has been expanded on, characters have drastic overall changes, and people are omitted from the source material. Some characters are gone, like Kinley, he doesn't even show up here, and Lockwood, they're not even in here. It basically takes the storyline of Volume 1 and remixes it and adds a bunch of flair and sexy stuff like manipulations of cat and mouse, and it's awesome. So is this a movie perfect for Valentine's Day, and how drastic are the changes? There is a lot of discourse between book lovers and the movie lovers. Find out as we talk about it. Disclaimer, I gotta be honest with you guys, I am a heterosexual male. The reason why I say that is because I'm a psychology dropout. I wanted to go to school to become a marriage counselor because I want romance to succeed. Even though I'm a guy, if I see an attractive girl looking at me at Target or Starbucks, I want to be like, hey, how you doing? I'm Jess. But still, I'm on the side of romance to win. But YouTube is my passion, so I quit. With that being said, I saw this movie twice in IMAX. That's right, in IMAX, and my thoughts have completely changed. The first time, I didn't like the movie. The second time, I fell in love because it's a beautiful disaster. I took the movie for what it was. I already know it's going to be a loosely adaptation. That's why when I picked up the book, I already know the movie was supposedly going to be better, more sexy and stuff. But still, I fell in love with it more because I understood it the second time. I caught reference that I didn't do the first time. I think the first time when I saw it on Saturday, I was so energetic on caffeine. I had a lot of anxiety because that caffeine made me excited. And I just was excited. I just wanted to leave to get martinis to go out. But then I saw it again hungover in IMAX, which was not the best way. But still, I was like, oh my god, dude, my emotions are getting the best of me right now. The backstory. Before we talk about the present, we have to talk about the past. A month ago, I bought the Penguin's Classics book at Barnes & Noble, literally like $12. And I started reading it up until the movie's release. So I knew what the characters looked like. So I don't watch trailers when I see movies here on this review channel, but I do look at still images that Instagram posts it. So I already knew that Heathcliff was going to be Jacob Elordi and Catherine was going to be Margaret Robbie. So all the characters like Isabella or Edgar Linton, boom. That's how I did it. Stills, image, that's how I've always done it. But I always try to get the book tie-in edition with the book movie poster. However, that released so late, like a week before the movie, and I wasn't gonna do that. That's a big point of contention. I heard the rumors. People are not liking it because of the whitewashing. Now, what does that mean? I had no idea that Heathcliff was supposed to be played by a dark-skinned person or exotic color skin or mixed racial skin like Asian or Gypsy. I had no idea. All I thought was Jacob Elordi. I had no idea for that, and that's crazy, But I can't believe I'm saying this. This is a book where I started to read it and I immediately wanted to put it down. No disrespect to Emily Bronte, you're probably gorgeous, perfect, and beautiful. Full transparency, I had to listen to it more than read it because it felt like a college level course. I couldn't understand it. The book, I thought it was boring, dull, and exhausting to get through. Even like now, my brain is like still dizzy about it. But I don't know. I love the way they talk, like the Victorian era. You know, like there's scenes where Margot Robbie in the movie, she's like, he's just trying to vex me, which more on that later. But I am thankful I read one of the most and listened to it more amazing pieces of literature that really stood the test of time. I barely still understand the storybook now as I'm talking to you. Every single chapter I read, mostly I listened to it. I had to ask Google or Gemini Pro, hey, chapter 17, Wuthering Heights, Penguin Classic. Did this, and this happen? Every single chapter. So I was very invested in the story, to be honest with you. In a nutshell, the book is about two soulmates that, if they're not together, they literally destroy themselves and everyone around them. It hurts not to be with each other. And that's the downfall of the tragic of the book. It's beautiful, it's shocking, it's twisted, but it's awesome. I already told you, Volume 2 is basically non-existent. Now, what is Volume 2? If you read the movie, you won't know what Volume 2 is. Volume 2 is where they have kids, and it takes 20 more years of storytelling, which is crazy because the movie just focuses on Volume 1, expands it, and sexies it up, and Volume 2 is gone, which is fine because Volume 2, when I was reading it, I was already checked out. I was done. I was like, I'm good. Let's get into the good stuff. The director and vibe. The director, Emerald Fennell, she also directed Saltburn, which I saw opening weekend and Thanksgiving. And you see a lot of nods, call-outs, I guess you would say cinematic effects from Wuthering Heights, from Saltburn. It's sexy, daring, sadistic, manipulative, twisted. It's all in the same package. It's awesome. We're going to talk about non-spoilers, and then we're going to go into heavy spoilers, so bear with me. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but I'm very tired. My eyes, I want to sleep, but I can't. The positives, the visuals. Let's start with positives of the movie. I absolutely love the look and feel of the movie. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of going into the past. I like future stuff because I am a futuristic neon, house music, martini, romance, anime type guy. Going to the past is something I don't like. However, it does work for this specific period piece point set in time. I only like going to the past when it involves romances like Baldur's Gate 3 or FF16. It's a great visualization from the book to screen because when I was reading the book, I was still kind of confused. What are the Moors? They're living in the middle of nowhere. So it's a great showcase in the drastic nature of the scary haunted house, the Wuthering Heights, and the beautiful luxurious mansion, Trush Greens. I'm probably not saying that right. I'm sorry. The costume designs are impeccable. I'm telling you, the gowns that Margot Robbie wears, and they're amazing. The house, the scenes, the dresses, her room, the mansion, even the attire of the men. No homo, by the way. I'm like, what the hell? I don't like being dirty. I mean, it looks, thank you. The movie just transported us there, but I don't like the mud. I mean, I understand it was like that back then and there is sometimes mud, but I don't like being dirty like that. I'm just, no. I'm definitely not like that. The cast. The second thing the movie has going for it is the two main leads, Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi. Do they have chemistry? I think they have enough chemistry to make the movie work. I mean, they're both good-looking people, no homo, by the way, to Mr. Jacob. I do feel like they have enough chemistry to make the movie suffice and work. I think Jacob can do Heathcliff justice, and he's really amazing in the role. However, I don't think he's perfect for Margot Robbie's character. Margot Robbie as Catherine is perfect. We already know she's beautiful. She's impeccable. She's untouchable, right? So she's amazing as Catherine. But I feel like since Jacob, and guess what? He's younger than Margot Robbie. So my brain comes to grips with that. I think Catherine is perfectly cast. Jacob Elordi can do the role justice, but I don't think he's the best one for it, to be honest with you. That's just my thought. Spoiler talk. We are going to talk spoilers for the rest of the review. We are going to talk about the score and heartbreak first. On the second watch, I finally caught the cinematic score. It really moves with you and changes the flow of the characters that you're feeling. It makes you feel things like happy, sad, joy, and regret, and even thankful. And you can even feel the pain that the characters are going through based on the score that is playing throughout the background. I was like, what the hell? It's like a knife, but instead of a knife in your chest, they're twisting it in agony because you're in such pain with these characters. And that brings me to the biggest realization. A broken heart can literally kill you. If you ask Google, which I'm going to now, can you die from a broken heart?
Yes. It's possible to die from a broken heart, a condition called broken heart syndrome, or Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Intense emotional stress can trigger this, temporarily weakening the heart muscle and causing heart attack-like symptoms.
Personally, for me, if I were to get another broken heart, I would probably die. So I think that's why I'm kind of scared to be in another relationship. But I feel like Margot Robbie's character captures that perfectly. She had the best of both worlds. The fashion and elegant sense with Edgar, but also the sexual seduction of her soulmate Heathcliff. But once Heathcliff marries Isabella, that shattered her. Why? Because Back then, you couldn't just get a divorce. Once they were married to people, you're locked in. The door has been basically shut. Just like in the book, she started going into madness. It just shows that she doesn't just want him, she needed him to survive. Watching her physically deteriorate because of her soul was absolutely tragic and brilliant and captivating. It's the definition of a tragedy. Remember, these guys grew up together. They grew up in the same household in terms of being abusive together, right? It's 20 years of history. Remember when Heathcliff leaves for the first time, right? When she accepts her marriage proposal to Edgar. Catherine says, Margot Robbie, she says, Nellie, you know how he's like, he's only trying to vex me. Like that, exactly like that. So she thinks he's gonna come back because they grew up together. This isn't just high school sweethearts. This isn't just adults. They grew up together in the same household, so they played around as kids. They slept in the same bed. Remember in the beginning in the rain? That's why it's captivating. That's why it shattered her. Because think about it. When Heathcliff marries Isabella, Catherine had the best of both worlds. She was getting pleasing by Heathcliff, but also like the fancy luxurious of Edgar. But then think about it. Isabella and Heathcliff, she's already thinking they're gonna marry each other. And guess what? She already know how Heathcliff is like in the bedroom because you've seen it and I've seen it too. Margot Robbie's character Catherine is thinking, wow, Heathcliff is gonna be inside of her without a condom, by the way, without a condom multiple times throughout the night, eating her out, doing all the craziest things of sexual seduction. Think about that. I know in the movie, in the book, they don't even have sex. Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the book, I don't think they do have sex. But in the movie, they do. So obviously, Margot Robbie is just like, yeah, that destroyed her. Destroyed her completely. Isabella, Catherine, and Heathcliff. This little weird love triangle was not even a love triangle, but the reason why I want to bring this up, you know who plays Isabella? Alison Oliver. Why is she so significant? Is because she worked with the director in Saltburn. And that, guess what? She was already a crazy, sadistic, beautiful girlfriend. I cannot distinguish the amount of range she has in those character arcs. She's great, by the way, in this movie. But you realize something crazy, that Catherine did this to herself. Remember that scene where she's pulling Isabella's hair and tells Heathcliff, go ahead and marry her? She was bluffing. Remember when Heathcliff came back and Heathcliff was looking at Isabella and Isabella was telling Catherine when she was pulling her in the swing, and then Catherine was like, oh, I'm not trying to say that to be jealous. That was the turning point of like whatever they had in terms of quarrel or friendship, basically just like we're enemies now because Isabella's like, you think I'm this little girl? And she probably is, but Margot Robbie, oh my god, she just proves like she's toxic, she's endearing. It's like she grabs her by the hair and she says, oh, come here, little Isabella, come here, Isabella, look at Heathcliff, you know, he wants you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, come here, Isabella, like he's hearing us. And like, it just showcased the power dynamics, the cat and mouse, the sadistic stuff, the manipulation. Like, think about it. You really think Catherine thinks that Heathcliff was going to marry Isabella? And especially how Catherine treated Isabella in that scene when she grabbed her hair in front of Heathcliff. Think about that. She's like, oh, look at you, poor little doll. Like, you know, you would never be matched to me. You would never have Heathcliff be inside of you. Think about that. That's what I saw the second time. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, I love it because it's like so like manipulative, you know? I'm just like, oh my god, Catherine, like baby girl, like yeah, let's do that. But that stirs something in Isabella. That really did. We're almost done, I promise. The spoiler talk, the changes. Okay, so we have to talk about the biggest change. Volume 2 is gone, right? But Nellie's character art is crazy because it's one of the tragic changes of the character, because when I was reading the book, she felt like the knight in shining armor, the one that was protecting us, following us, you know, the person that I care about the most. She felt like the mother to Catherine. In the movie, Nellie feels like an antagonist. She burns letters. There's a scene where Margot Robbie is telling her, no one will love you. I don't ever remember reading that in the book where Catherine was telling her, no one will ever love you. It was like basically turning a villain into a sadistic character destruction. I mean, why would she say that? She basically was kind of mean to her. Everyone was mean to her, especially in the beginning, you know? I think there's a scene in the beginning where they're at Wuthering Heights and one of the servants says, just because you came from a lord doesn't mean you're a lady. Or something like that, right? Anyway, there's a scene where Heathcliff comes, right? And this is Margot Robbie's famous line of the interpretation of the source material where she says, whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same, right? In the book, she says that and Heathcliff is listening, but then he walks away before she says, like, I love him and stuff. In the movie, Nellie looks at Heathcliff and then doesn't say anything and she blurts out, so you accepted his proposal, blah, blah. That's why later on in the movie you think, oh, Margot Robbie says, it's treason. Oh, you did? That just reminded me of Star Wars. It's treason then. It's like degrading herself. It's a betrayal, you know? I don't know why Catherine was mean to Nellie. I don't know why. Catherine and Heathcliff, one of the biggest change. Catherine and Heathcliff are the second biggest change because they kiss a lot in the movie, right? I think in the book they only kiss a little bit, or that one scene in chapter 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, when they meet together, right? One of the favorite scenes that I have is when they're sitting by the moors and both of them are talking about being rich because Catherine is like, and this is a clip on YouTube by the way. It's like, oh, we have neighbors, and Margaret Robbie's character is saying, oh, like, you know, what would you do if you had rich? And then Heathcliff is like, I would be rude to my servants. You know, I would live in a big beautiful house and fancy a wife. And then she's like, what wife? What wife? And Heathcliff says, Rose. And then Catherine says, the landlord's daughter. She is surprisingly, though, the plainest doll I've ever seen. I love that. And my theater was laughing. You know, I was like, oh, I was having a good time. I love that because it just shows that she's like, no, you should love me. Like, I can't believe you're with another girl, you know, and it's jealousy and it's blah, 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 right? They basically do it in the movie. They do it a lot. She basically has an affair. I mean, yeah, it's sexy and daring, but of course, they're selling it for Valentine's Day. Of course they would do that, which is awesome because I love that change. In the book, I'm like, dude, I'm a Scorpio type guy. I've read 50 Shades of Grey. I've watched 50 Shades of Grey. I've read the After series. I need physical connection. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a guy. Of course, that's just me. I'm so sorry. You know, that's why I like the changes to the book because they do it a lot. And to me, come on, as a guy, you can't fault me for that. The ending and some dark stuff before we end this review, and I'm so sorry it's taking so long, but my energy is literally carrying me to victory right now because I feel like sleeping, but I can't. I kind of need some food because it's the morning. So there's a scene where she dies, and yes, Catherine still dies, like at the end of the freaking middle of the book. So she still dies, but the way they did that was elegantly done. She's laying down in a luxurious bed in the dress, right? And the blood is dripping because she lost a child. I thought that was a beautiful cinematic shot, right? It's perfect. Oh my god, it's sexy and it's manipulative. It's brilliant, even though it does hurt. Heathcliff comes to find her and he just caresses her, and that's how the movie ends. I don't think he dies. I mean, he dies in the book, but what's sad is that they don't even include the scene with their ghosts. In the book, at the end, you know how the little kid in the book was saying, oh, like, you know, he's carrying sheep, and then he sees Heathcliff and a beautiful lady going through the moors because in the book it's just such more higher level thinking because Catherine says that I can't go to heaven because I'll cry, and so they bring her down. She had that dream, right? Whatever. So they did not include that, which is fine. There's also a scene with Joseph because he's younger in this one. He's having sex with Zilla. Oh my god, and that was so brilliantly Saltburn right there. Oh my god, like they're doing some horse thing in the barn, and then Catherine is watching, and then Heathcliff is like holding her like this. Oh my god, dude. And then she's like sexual frustration. She starts to finger herself, and it's like, oh my god, dude, that was just like peak like beautifulness. If I had a girl right there at that time, I would definitely look at her and be like, yo, let me seduce you right now, let me eat you now. But I don't like Heathcliff in terms of what he does. He treats Isabella bad, just like in the book. I would never do something like that. Don't get me wrong, I would make a woman jealous. Like if I was in Heathcliff's position, I would marry Isabella, but I would treat her so right. I would please her, I would eat her out, I would do all the crazy things I did to Catherine, if not more, to make her that broken heart. I know I'm twisted, I'm the problem too. But dude, it's just like, there's two scenes that I like from them. The first one is when Isabella kind of stands up to him because they played this kinky role. In the movie, Isabella tells him, oh, why don't you write? And she's like, you can't do it. And then Heathcliff tells her to please write to Catherine. And then Isabella says, if I do, will you be very nice to me? And then Heathcliff goes down to his knees. He's like, I'll be very nice to you. I thought that was freaking sexy. I was like, yes, this is kinky. This is beautiful behavior. This is something that I would see. But then he has to change up like a dog, and I hated that. I would never do something like that. I would never do that, you know? I hate that. I don't like that. So I like and dislike their relationship, whatever. Conclusion. This isn't a romance story. It's toxic, manipulative game of cat and mouse, some sadistic behavior, drastic changes to the source material. It's basically, like I told you before, a romance where two soulmates need to be together. Not just want, they need to be together. Otherwise, they destroy themselves and everyone around them. Dear Emily Bronte, I'm going to be honest with you right now. I know you're perfect, gorgeous, and beautiful, and I saw your movie, Emily, which is a biopic with Emma Mackey, which is a different movie. I appreciate that you made such an astonishing, shattering, amazing book with your literature, right? I don't like most of your book, to be honest with you. Do I respect it? Yeah, of course, hell yeah I do, but I don't understand it. It's not something I ever want to read again. Thank you for your contribution to romance, to higher level thinking, to spirituality. Your book has definitely topped the charts because other people have made reference like the After series or 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, they even reference Wuthering Heights in After series. So thank you, you're awesome. This is just not a world I want to live in. At the end of the day, I'm gonna give this a grade B-, and I saw this in IMAX. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you so much. Maybe consider hitting that like button and turning on notifications so you never miss a video. And with that, take care, bye. I am so sorry, but I need food and my brain is just like, I don't know why I'm just so tired. 31 years old, staying up until 4 in the morning. It's not good. We'll talk, bye.